All right. To check the chain case oil level, we need to remove, I'm using my shadow here, that plug right here at the tip of my shadow of the finger. The fluid should be level with the hole. All right, you've got to get underneath the lifting arm, so you do want the safety device in place. You want it on relatively level ground. And I do have a block under the rear just in case it tilts a little bit. So it shouldn't, but you know, better safe than sorry. All right, so I'm using a 1/2-inch driving extension to remove the plug. There we go. All right, I'm going to take the plug out, but I'm going to set you down to do it. All right, there we go. Got it almost all the way out. Had a little piece of pipe used as the breaker bar. All right, I used the Amazon package actually, or USPS package to act as a chute. That is not good. That is in bad need of replacement. And there's way too much of it in there. To change the old dirty chain case oil, we got to get to the chain case cover. But before we did that, me and Frank are out here. I blocked the rear end. I just put some bricks up underneath it. You know, this thing's heavy in the rear end when the things are up. So, put the safety device in place. Tilt the cab back. Moving right along. All right, first thing we gotta do is we gotta remove this knob. So what you gotta do is hold the lock nut, twist the knob. Should have to remove some stuff here, but I think it's all decayed and it's not there anymore. So we're just going to take the 4 bolts and take the steering shield off. Now we're going to move the 2 panels. All right, remove this bolt and the bolt from this center down here. 2 bolts, and then carefully manipulate it, get it out. All right, we're this far, so I'm going to show you something. This cover, this chain case cover, is loose. It moves around, and you can see all the piles of dirt and crap that's got in here. I've got mud for chain case fluid. So we're trying to fix this gasket, tighten this down, and then put it back together, put some fluid in it. But man, look at that. I'm either growing plants or digging holes, I don't know. All right, to help clean this out, Frank suggested taking these off. And we did. And you can see they got a little catch there. They got to slide out like a drawer, and then they fall down. But look at that. Look at that. Stuff's been in there since 1983. Woo. It was so nasty, we decided to pressure wash it. Frank pressure washed it. Did an excellent job. Look at there. So there's your chain case. There's your hydraulic motors. And your pedals. That looks a whole lot better than what it did. All right, moving right along. All right, so what we're going to do here is we got to disconnect this one, this parking brake harness, and the bolts for the bracket, this bracket right here. So we got to do that. We're going to remove the traction lock solenoid there. Frank's taking out one of the 2 bolts you got to take out. All right, there's the traction lock assembly. And while we've got it out, we'll make an upside down documentation for the part number. That number is 15091, I think. 12 volts DC. Ingersoll Rand. All right, we took the 2 nuts off the studs. Remove the park brake lever and switch, and this bolt back here was rather difficult to get to. I think Frank was ready to give up. Now we got to pull the cover off.
which you can't do with the brake lever on there. I'm not even sure I can now. Oh.
Look at that freaking gasket.
Sad shape.
So, and then there's your chain case, and that muddy water crap in there is nasty. So I got to clean all this up. The cover was shifting around loose, so it was allowing dirt and debris to get down in there. So
I recommend thread locker.
yeah, we're gonna need some thread lock just to seal it up, if nothing else. I use blue though. All right, so there's your cover off. Had to take a break, and it's a new day. The gasket for this is no longer available. So you can't get a gasket for the chain case on a 453 any longer. So I got some gasket material from my local O'Reilly's. This is a 10 by 26. It's 1/32. I have some gasket maker. I also gonna put the bolts back in on the chain case. I would definitely want to put them on some Loctite. There's a torque spec that's involved. We'll try to get to all that. One thing we may do in advance of putting the chain case cover on is this removable link here. I'll probably pop it off so that I can move this link out of the way to get to the bolt that's under there. All right, so there's my gasket. Fits nice. It's a nice gasket. Okay, here's my measurements. And I'm going to show you this because I don't want anybody to say, hey, you made a gasket, you didn't even show the dang measurements. What kind of video is this? The gasket is 6 5/8 by 14 1/4 inches. So to better explain it, it's 6 5/8 from this side to this side. It's 14 1/4 long. This is 1 3/16. This is 1 inch, and this is 1 3/16. There you go. This from the edge here to here is 8 inches. There you go. There's your gasket. Got it. Gasket on it. Got it lined up. Got it clipped in place. Need to put the holes in the gasket. All right, got it flipped over. Just drilling out my holes. Just using a drill bit. It's about a little bit smaller than the hole there, and you can see it's kind of slotted. So just drilling through and then sliding it over. Let the side of the drill bit cut it off. Not pressing real hard. Light pressure. I got my holes cut out, but you can see they're kind of jagged. Pieces are sticking up. I definitely want to clean that up. So we use a pair of scissors and clean them up. Got my gasket all trimmed up. Got my chain case cover cleaned. Now I'm going to clean out around the opening. Clean off up front up here so that I can get a nice good seal. The goal here is not to do this twice or do it again later. The goal is to get it right now. So we're going to get it right now. All right, I believe I've got the chain case cleaned off enough to put the gasket on without getting a bunch of debris in there. But I do want to show you something here. The gasket comes all the way up to, I'm doing this one hand, I got it balanced on my leg. It comes up to here, but you can see this kick in the middle. You see that? So this lifts up off of the chain case, and that allows dirt and stuff to pack up underneath there, and that's what I just scraped off. And it does it, I guess, for some reason, to allow these carriage bolts to slip up underneath here, but there's also a channel under there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put a bead of Permatex around this that keeps that dirt from getting packed up underneath there. It may or may not work. It doesn't really matter as long as the gasket's good. I'm just going to try it as a added amount of protection. All right, the lettering side is going to go up, so I'm going to spread that out, make it a thin film, and then put this gasket on the cover. Got the gasket on and lined up. Got the gasket maker underneath there. Got it pushed down nice and tight. put some here. Then I believe what I'll do is I'll outline it here. Because well, I don't know. I may try to put it here and see what happens. And then we'll put it on. All right, we've got it prepped. And here I put a little bit thicker bead just to go around where those bolts sit, just to keep dirt from packing into these areas. It may not do any good, like I said, but we'll try it. All right, we're going to put it on. All right, shift it just a tad. Get the bolt holes lined up. Get the bolt holes lined up. Put in the 2 carriage bolts there. Now we're going to bolt it down. All right, let me see what I'm going to try to avoid here. You can see this bolt hole here. It is under this, and you can't get a socket on it because it's under that. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to push this out of the way a little bit. And I'm going to do that by undoing the link right here where it's connected. We'll see. We'll see. All right, as you can see, I've got it halfway off there. And that's to the rear. The part that come loose was to the rear. So let me get the other part. And I just used a small screwdriver to get that out like that. All right, once I got the bottom half loose, I just kind of rotated it into this position and then we'll pull it off. Maybe we'll pull it off. Oops, I'm gonna need 2 hands or I'm gonna drop it. Okay, you can see there that the link is removed. There's the links. Now, what I'm gonna try to do, if possible, make sure I'm clear of everything here, is slide that a little bit that way. And that way, I have more clearance over that bolt hole. And see that big gap right there? It was almost up against it. That's what we're going to try to work with. That right there. All right, I'm going to use some thread locker on this. Put it on my bolt. And don't need it too far down the threads, but need a little bit. Need it up here at the top where the bolt is actually going to thread into the surface of the chain case. All right, let's do that. All right, I've got the cover on and tightened down. There is no spec for the chain case cover bolts, but the guide block, which is these items in here, that's 25 to 28, and those bolts are on the inside, and these bolts are 65 to 70, and all these references are in foot-pounds. So it's FYI. So we've got these on, tightened down. This one, it ends up under this arch, but if you'll activate the lift pedal, if you activate the pedal and push it down or pull the front up, it'll push this back and you can access that. Not easily, but you can access it. Had to use a wrench, couldn't get a socket in there because of the shaft here. Here, I was able to go under, by lifting this up, I was able to go under and get a wrench on the rear bolt there. If I can show you that. Where's that bolt? Right there. Oh, sorry. That bolt's right there. There you go. Lifted this up and I could get a wrench up underneath it, and I got that nice and tight. And now that I've told you that, I just realized I got to take that out and put a bracket underneath it. Well, crap. All right, I'll do that as soon as I clean it off. Was able to get that bolt on. Was able to get my wrench underneath this lever, so taking the link off worked really well. Brackets on. And it's flush up against here, so it's in the right place. Just need to tighten that down. All right, before I do anything though, I want to make sure I get this link put back on. So I'll be putting that link back on. Yeah. There we go. Gave it a little squeeze. Now you can clearly see the little cams, I guess is what you want to call them, put into it. Of course, I'm going to put on the front section first and lift it up so that it's all the way at the bottom of the link, and then I'm going to rotate the link. Get it halfway across so that the upper half falls in, and then all I have to do is push the bottom down just a little further until it clips in as well. And just like that, we're in. No fuss, no muss. Here, see if I can get you a better look at that. There we go. Removable link is in, and it's in the slot, so it's where it needs to be. All right, good deal. Moving right along. All right, we're going to fill in the last remaining hole. That's the part brake solenoid. So I went ahead and put a little gasket maker on that because that gasket wasn't necessarily in the best shape either. And we'll install it. All right, good deal. Part number facing forward. And me and Frank, when we took this out, we put the bolts right back in the holes where they belonged. So they were right here. I didn't have to go looking for them. Right where they were supposed to be. And just so you know, almost every bolt or nut that we've taken off, or that had to be taken off, or was taken off, was a 9/16. All right, got the part brake, the traction lock solenoid tightened down. These bolts get torqued at 25 to 28 foot-pounds. These two here. All right, we'll reconnect the electrical harness. That's over here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this one. Maybe, maybe not. So here it is. There's not much slack, so you have to kind of go to it. Flip it over so I can see it. There we go. All right, as I mentioned earlier, cut the safety wiring, the safety tie wrap off. I don't know if you can see that, but you put that tie wrap through that clip so that clip can't lift up and release the other half of the connector. So I think this one is big enough. We're gonna find out. See if I can wrap it around. Ooh, there ain't much room to do this. Better to go ahead and put the effort in though, and make sure your traction lock doesn't become deactivated because the connector came loose. That's horrible. We don't want that. All right, so there we go. Got that in there. My dikes are in the car. There we go. All right, good deal. All right, before we put the switch back on, I definitely want to give it a little bit of an inspection. So right here where the wire, or cable I should say, goes in, I pushed it back this way a little bit and checked it, see if there were any cuts on it. I didn't see any. Make sure the switch giving me a nice solid click. Looked at this end. Same thing for the cable. I didn't see any nicks or cuts. Could do a resistance check on it, but it's working. Have no reason to believe that it's not going to work. And I want to activate it, make sure my switch closes. So I'm going slow, see if I get a click. Oh yeah, I got a click. Did you hear that? Yeah, got a nice click when I closed it. All right, good deal. All right, spring looks old, but I don't see any cracks, so it's probably going to hold up for a while longer. All right, we're going to reinstall this. All right, I'm going to push this bolt as far forward as I can get it, and then this bolt so that it lines up in the hole. The reason I'm going to do this is because I'm 6'2". I want this unit as far forward as I can get it. They don't look far, but hey, every little centimeter counts. There we go. Push them forward, just nice and easily. Set it on the studs. Once the studs were lined up, easy as pie, then we'll just put the nuts on. Oh, that one doesn't go. All right, we'll tighten that one up. All right, now that we've got that in, we've got the bracket holding the shaft in with the chain case cover. We need to connect the connector. And the connector is way down here in a wonderful place to get to where it's really difficult. Beautimous. Got the connector connected. All right, after that, it's just some covers to put on and the bypass rod and stuff, and tighten down the brackets. And all right, we'll get right through that. All right, tighten up the bracket bolt. Got the right side maintenance cover or motor cover, whatever you want to call it. It was painful, I will admit, and it took a fulcrum and a lever. So let's do the other side. On the other side, this ear here was bent out just a little bit. Here's the whole flipping side. You see that? I'm gonna correct this as much as I can before I try to put it in. That looks a little better. All right, we'll try to put it in. Same bull crap with this one, hard to get on. Had to lift it from the bottom to get the front bolt lined up. Or screw. I don't know what's going on with those, but evidently they're not in the most protected of locations. All right, got the two steering arm covers in. Gonna put the middle cover on. And as a side note, if the front of your pedal is all the way up, it makes getting these on a little bit easier. All right, got the middle cover on, got the knob back on. We're good. All right, since everything's back together, I've backed it up to where I normally keep the Bobcat. It's on a slight hill, so it puts the front of the chain case at a lower position. So we're going to try to drain the fluid out of it right here. So I'm going to use my 1/2-inch drive with extension into the plug and try to get it draining. See, that was mostly just freaking, there's, I can tell, rainwater and stuff. Leo, what are you doing? Ah, get out of that. That's nasty. The oily part was on top, so that was water came out first, probably just rainwater. Now just old gooey, nasty, grit-laden fluid is coming out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my transfer pump. I'm going to transfer some fluid in there to help get all that out. And we'll see how that goes. Now you can see the fluid I'm putting in starting to dilute the old nasty stuff that's coming out. So it's working. It's a transfer pump, by the way. It only flows as fast as or you can only operate it as fast as the fluid flows. So don't get crazy and try to think this is a gasoline pump. You should be pumping a gallon a minute. It ain't gonna happen. Well, yeah, that doesn't need to be in your fluid. Now I'm using my transfer fluid to pick what won't come out the hole up out of the chain case and put it in my pan. I've got all out that I could get out with my transfer pump. Now I'm just waiting for what's in there to settle down to the front, so I can pump it out again, and then I'm going to put my fluid in. There will still be some bad fluid in there, but you know, you got to live with it. It's better than all of it being bad and being in there. All right, now my chain case is basically empty. Put my plug back in. I'm going to get it off of this hill down here to on more level ground, maybe even a slight backwards tilt, and then put some fluid in it. All right, I got it on more level ground. I'm going to open up the case. Going to pump a little bit of the good fluid through this and into the waste barrel just to clean out my tubes before I start pumping it into my chain case. All right, so that's what we're going to do. All right, I'm putting good fluid in now. I'm using Travelers Universal. Yeah, you can argue about it, so you shouldn't put that in your Bobcat, but plenty of people run it, don't have any problem. And plus, it's a whole heck of a lot better than what was in it. All right, so we'll keep pumping. All right, we've got it filled up. Gonna put a plug back in and call it even. All right. Like and subscribe, it's free, helps me out. Thanks, guys.